the relationship between the character and its surroundings where you can enjoy all of it together. I think one of my favorite shots in the film is when Laszlo is reunited with his cousin, and you really feel the sense of the bus behind them and the people behind them and everything that's happening around them and the two of them as well. I think it's just such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it allows both the foreground and the background to, the subject and their environment to be equally significant. And it's a really, it's a beautiful aspect of large format. I have to say that after shooting a film in large format, I don't know if I can ever go back. Of course, when we were preparing to shoot a movie on the format, we were spending a lot of time looking at films like The Searchers because of how it handles these extraordinary vistas, of course, which is what VistaVision was really built for. But then, funnily, you have a very intimate film, a notoriously very, very intimate film, like In the Realm of the Senses, which, is relying on the format primarily for close-ups and medium shots of the body, and these really extraordinary, very graphic, very frank sex scenes in that film. And so, I started to realize as I was spending more and more time with the format that I almost preferred how it handled the human face, because basically, the field of view with VistaVision, it's so immense that what it allows you to do is you get a bigger, more detailed picture, but without the distortion that would be required from using, a 10 millimeter or 12 millimeter lens. And so, that lack of distortion when you're shooting the human face is so incredibly powerful. And for me, that is just infinitely more interesting, actually, how it turns the human face into a landscape.
It's just, there's incredible love scenes. I love love scenes. I think there's such a wonderful way of understanding so much about a relationship and a person without using words. And this is a visual medium, so the more one can do that. We of course do write a lot of words, so we can't help ourselves. We do write a lot of words, but I think it's just inspiring when you can sort of see some really interesting and exciting and nuanced love scene that is not just there to sort of titillate the audience and just to sprinkle it in here and there. It's really serves a purpose, and it's speaking about something, and we really try to strive to write those love scenes with a lot of nuance.
It's so interesting that the culture has become increasingly puritanical.
I know, but also in America, you're not scared of watching someone have their heads torn off or but then of course you're just you see a vagina and it's just everybody loses their mind.
Mona's Scandinavian.
I know.
She's got very strong feeling about the sex versus violence, but hell, I do too. It still is fascinating that is still in this day and age in 2025 something that you have to defend.
No, it's ridiculous. Also, everyone wants to look at beautiful naked bodies or people making love. It's a beautiful thing that if you look at paintings, if you go to a gallery, it's all you see. And nobody, very, very few people wants to see really graphic, horrific violence. So let's warn people so that they are not exposed to that unless they seek it out. And then let's not be so terrified of two people connecting. Yeah. No.
There's one other big thing within the realm of the senses, which is it's that mix of the agony and the ecstasy. Mm-hmm. And that is something that that's where cinema thrives,
Yeah.
I think that it's a movie that you feel strangely exalted by, even though it comes to a brutally violent end.
Sure. I'm not saying no violence. I'm just saying
No, of course not. No, of course not. I don't misunderstand. I live with you.
Yeah.
Just the ambition of the film.
Yes,
I think
so
that
epic.
it's one of King Vidor's greatest films. King Vidor was, of course, on our mind because of The Fountainhead as well. I think that it's just an intoxicatingly beautiful film. It's one of those weird movies that like you just can't believe it exists. The level of ambition is so high.
You're just seduced by the image.
Even though it's a small sliver of the book, the same way that The Fountainhead is a very, very small sliver of that book, or East of Eden. It's an extraordinary achievement, and that's what I mean. I just feel like we're living in an era where we're going strangely backwards, like 75 years ago. But, it's just so much cooler than like 99% of whatever its equivalent, would be today. Like, it's just so like visually inventive, and the scale of it, and the costumes, and so many I mean, it's insane. It's just it's like Andrei Rublev is like that too. It's like it's one of these movies where you're like, how does this exist? And I feel like that's the greatest feeling that you can provoke in an audience member, is like, how did they even do this? and so that's something that I try to put us in situations that are, extremely, unique, and will, of course, will deliver on a picture which is surprising. Like, I mean, when we went to Carrera, so few films have ever shot there, and part of the reason that so few films have shot there is that it's incredibly dangerous. It's a dangerous place. There's constant rock slides. You can't dick around when you're there. And yet, especially to shoot that landscape on that format, it just felt like such a gift. It felt like a gift while we were shooting it. So I knew that if it felt that good, to shoot it, that it would feel, extraordinary for anyone that didn't, know what to expect or see what's coming. It's just the greatest movie. It's like it's got to be like one of my top 3 favorite films. I mean, Hitchcock for me was the biggest influence, just in terms of like the watchability. I think I've seen all of those films, Shadow of a Doubt, North by Northwest, all of them, I feel I've seen at least like 30 times, like literally. And so it's one of the most, it's so haunting, it's so beautiful. And finally, Vengeance is Mine, which was made in the late 70s, a masterpiece of violent cinema. And
I'm not anti-violence.
I'm just kidding.
I don't want anyone to be censored.
Mona's anti-censorship for the record.
For the record.
But yes, Vengeance is Mine is such a beautiful, beautiful movie. And it was a major influence on the film because unlike all of these other movies which were made, in the 1950s, except for In the Realm of the Senses, of course, the emulsions in the 1970s have a lot more to do with the emulsions, today. Whereas, even if you wanted to make a movie look like a Palin Pressburger movie or a Nicholas Ray movie, you just couldn't, because the process is so different today, to what it was 70 years ago. So Vengeance is Mine is a very good example of what a more contemporary VistaVision aesthetic, gives you.